Chapter 15. The Dabble Room and the Heart Artist. Off we went, Cameron on Brindle and me on Lilty, with Shadow in my lap. We took a leisurely stroll through the meadows back to our house, with all our new friends talking and singing together. "You know, we have been sleeping so much, we have not even explored the many rooms in our mansion," Cameron said. "Yes," I exclaimed. "The hallways of 100 doors. I am sure we are in for a whole new adventure." "Many, many more. The adventure will never end as long as we are willing to follow," Cameron said. Up until now we had seen one music room, our bedroom just for a moment, and our breakfast nook. Shadow led us into the house and down one of the long hallways, past dozens of doors with different names. She stopped in front of one with a sign that read, "Dabble Room." We opened the door and walked in. A cozy mist hung in the air around us and slowed everything down. We moved in slow motion through the mist like astronauts. The mist had a tickling effect and we wiggled as we floated. We could not see the walls or determine the size of the room. We were just there, bobbing in the mist. Odd-shaped tools, pallets of paper, and utensils for writing, painting, and drawing appeared, hanging in the air around us. The tools sang and talked in tiny little voices. "Pick me up, try me, use me, hold me in your hand." The paper spoke as well. "Use me, fill me, fold me." And so we did. For hours we dabbled. We found that we were making plans and schematics for all sorts of inventions, weapons, and architectural drawings for houses and buildings, gadgets for home and play, and more. Some were modern and some were ancient looking. We were doing more than merely dabbling. I wondered what an actual art room was like. As we continued our tinkering, many others whom we came to know as our neighbors joined us. We recognized some of our captains, their wives, and our soldiers again. As we began to create together and share what we had already learned, the designs went to higher levels. It was exhilarating, and it all happened in slow motion, so we could really learn and see what we were doing. Plans were changed and added to, rearranged and enhanced through this fellowship. I noticed a man slip some plans into his coat and head toward the door. I followed, curious. He walked down the hall and stopped in front of another door. I waited, peeking out of the Dabble Room door until he went in, then I followed. The sign on the door said, "Invention Room." I opened the door and gasped. It was a warehouse the size of a football field. There were people everywhere, working with great joy and fervor. I walked around in a daze as I realized what they were doing. All through the warehouse, inventions were being constructed according to the plans made in the Dabble Room by our neighbors, fellow soldiers, and friends. And all these people had their own homes with many rooms for discovery. We could go to each other's homes any time and create together, learning and growing beyond our imagination. I spotted a man bent over a project with a welder's helmet on, just like our armor helmets. He was using some kind of ancient tool, but it was electric. He seemed so familiar. I jumped up and started running toward him. "Jesus!" I cried out ecstatically. "Jesus! Cameron, it's Jesus!" Cameron had followed me from the Dabble Room. We both ran into Jesus' arms at the same time, knocking his helmet off as we all three went sprawling. We laughed and hugged and expressed how we missed him, though we knew he was always with us in spirit. "How was your rest?" he asked. His voice was like rich, sweet cream and filled our ears full of good tidings. "Beyond dreams," Cameron said. "Deep and wonderful," I added. "You look very rested indeed," Jesus said, smiling. "Thank you, my beautiful Lord," Cameron said with so much love. "Thank you for all these blessings. Our hearts cannot convey the gratefulness we feel. We only pray you can feel it from us." "Oh, Jesus sighed. I surely can. And he was lifted up on the waves of appreciation coming out of our hearts. He danced around in them with slow satisfaction. We melted as he hovered above us in our own thanks. Thank you, he said as he landed gently in front of us. We both cried from this display of Jesus riding on our gratitude and thanking us for thanking him. I have seen you with this helmet like ours before, I said, and these tools, when you came to me in years past and unfastened the hinges and removed all of the doors to my heart. Yes, my child, my friend, you are coming to the place where all the doors of your heart can easily be opened. In my Father's heart, inside of you, there are many rooms. The doors must remain open for all to enter who choose. It all makes perfect sense. Our hearts are connected to you and go on forever. These hallways of rooms are limitless and timeless, just like our hearts. We can explore them for eternity as long as we remain in you, open and free. Others are allowed to come in and out freely and get to know you as well. We allow each other into our hearts and we all grow and learn together. One of your life's teachings, Jesus said. Open hearts, open wills, I remembered out loud. There is room in your heart for eternity to grow. You just need to let go, Jesus said. From here on, it will never stop expanding. Love is the greatest room. You will now learn this in a whole new way. It is your belief in my love for you that allows me to remove the hinges from the doors so I can come in and clean the rooms. The first time I came to you, I chiseled off the locks. Oh, I remember it hurt like crazy, I said, grimacing. These levels of love never end, and you can climb for eternity once you are mine. For I am love, as my Father is love, as you are love, once you give yourself to me for safekeeping. The next level of love coming to earth on my people will be the greatest wave of my love the world has ever seen. You and your friends will be captains of this love wave, and you will fight for it. And you will win. Jesus took my hand and we began dancing together. Waves of his love wooed me as we waltzed around the stadium-sized room faster and faster. Suddenly, we were flying through the house and up out of sight to an incredibly high mountain. Another journey within the journey. Below us was a demonic realm, perhaps the second heaven, where there was much fighting and gnashing of teeth. We must have flown right through it. We danced a bit more and landed, sitting on a ledge, dangling our legs, unaffected by all the terrifying goings-on under our feet. Jesus handed me a bucket of water. Go up, and be careful not to spill the water. I have learned from my journeys with Jesus to obey without hesitation. I took the bucket and headed up the craggy mountain. It was not an easy climb, and I was careful not to spill the water. I walked very slowly and chose my footing as the pathway opened up in front of me. As I have learned in my previous journeys, you cannot always see the path until you put one foot in front of the other and it opens up. I was not bothered by the fact that I had no idea where I was going. I would know when I got there. I came to a small plateau and a cave. I knew I was to go in. I saw a shape hunched in the cave with its back to me. It reminded me of the stairwell in the waiting room. Perhaps I had not killed the spirit of unhealed wounds after all. But this felt different somehow. I did not feel threatened. The being was wrapped in a cloak, and I felt that it was ancient. I could tell that it was barely alive. Its hair looked like it had been pulled out in patches. I could hear its labored breathing. I ran back to the mouth of the cave. I shouted, "Jesus, I found someone. I think it is thirsty. I will give it some of your water." I knew Jesus could hear me. A sudden whoosh blew my hair back as Jesus flew by me and into the person. "Help me," he whimpered. "You are the person," I exclaimed. "Yes," it said. I gave him some water and he drank deeply for a long time. "This reminds me of a friend of mine I am helping. I know you will restore her," I said. "Yes, I am she. I am he. I am all the body. We are thirsty and we are dying. We are pulling our hair out, vomiting, drinking, and lusting. We are hungry and eating the wrong things. We are bitter and lonely. We are in need of much love and water from living rivers, from open hearts. Thank you for giving me water, for giving her water, and all of them. You carried the water slowly and carefully, following the path with so much faith and love for my will. You cannot hurry the healing love you carry. You must take your time. Thousands may not feel it, but one will be healed. Go for the one. It is better to help one of my thirsty children up close than thousands at a distance. And one is always right next door." As he continued to drink, his hair began to come back and his skin was rejuvenated to 5, 10, 20, 30 years younger. It will be a process for my body to be restored, but I will work quickly through those willing to slow down and follow. My children are my body. That is quite a contradiction. You will work faster if we slow down, but it makes so much sense to me now, I said. I could never see this when I was caught up trying to use my gifts, be someone, and get approval. I worked so hard, though I did have a great time. I wore myself out, trying to survive without asking you for help. It made me very tired and stole my joy. I never want to go back. I want to slow down and love. Jesus said with his face glowing now, "I said it before. It is written clearly. Love each other. This is my heart. It is quite a simple request, one, however, that cannot be rushed." At this, he rose up out of the old person with a fierceness that threw me on my face. He put his hand into his chest, pulled out his heart, and put it in my empty water bucket. "You are a true heart artist. Here is your paint," he exclaimed. The bucket was filling up with blood pumping from his still beating heart. It was as beautiful as it was frightening and more than a little sobering. "Now go and paint the world," he said, and he was gone. I was left alone in the cave with my bucket of Jesus' heart and blood. I sat down and started crying. I cried for my busy life and all of the lost visitations and missed moments with Jesus. I cried for my family and friends and their children. I cried for the body of Christ and all the lost of the earth. I cried and cried until I realized it was pouring down rain. I could see it like a curtain over the mouth of the cave. I heard Jesus' voice echo in the air. "Your tears are heard and tasted. You will see what my heart will do. You will see what my blood will do. You will see the wonder-working power of my love." Lion appeared at the mouth of the cave, and his roaring thunder mixed in with the torrent of rain. I ran to him, but he was gone. "I will do it," I shouted alone in the drenching rain. "I will carry your love to the one and to the many, one step of faith at a time." I danced and sang out in the downpour. The rain was warm and lathered me all over. The raindrops were tears of heaven. I could feel each smashing drop of Jesus' tears of love falling. Obeying by giving his children a drink will start the rain of his love falling all around us.